Hello viewers at home, I welcome you to another episode of Mathematics Doodle program on Glorious Vision Television, where we always teach you mathematics. This is another day of Mathematics Doodle program to you, and the lesson you are going to learn is a new one. Today, what are you learning? The main topic of today is called inequality. Inequality. So, concept of inequality is the subtopic we are treating. That is the idea of inequality. You just get hold of your writing materials and get yourself ready. Stay tuned.
Mathematics Doodle.
Yeah, welcome back to the class. Mathematics Doodle is the name of the program for those of you that are joining us now. Mathematics. Inequalities is the topic, main topic, and the subtopic is the concept of inequalities. The idea that what is inequalities all about, that is what you want to check today. Now, yes, inequalities. I will write down some expressions on the whiteboard to enable me to pass across the idea of inequalities onto you. Pay good attention. Let's say we have these following expressions. 2 plus 2 equals 2 multiplied by 2. 4 plus 3 is not equal 4 multiplied by 3. Let me use this mathematical statement first. The expression we have on this first question says 2 plus 2, that is the sum of 2 and 2, equals the product of 2 and 2. That is the mathematical interpretation of this thing. That is the sum of 2 and 2 equals or is equal to the product of 2 and 2. That is why this is referred to as an equation. Okay, it is referred to as equation because we are saying that the expression on this left hand side is equal to the expression we have on this right hand side. And let's look. The sum of 2 and 2 gives what? It gives 4. The product of this gives 4 as well. So it means that this side is equal to this side. So we refer to this as equation. That is where equation comes, or the word equation in mathematics comes from. Now, let's move to the next. We have another expression that says 4 plus 3, that is the sum of 4 and 3. We have a symbol here. This symbol is an opposite of this symbol. This symbol means equal. It's equal. Is equal to. Okay? Means is equal to. Okay? It means is equal to. But this symbol means is not equal to. Means is not equal to. Okay? Now, that is this expression, the expression we have on the right hand side, on the left hand side is not equal to the expression we have on the right hand side. And let's look at it. The sum of 4 and 3 gives 7. This gives 7. The product of 4 and 3, that is 4 multiplied by 3, gives what? It gives 12. So 7 is not equal to 12. I repeat, 7 is not equal to 12. Therefore, this is referred to as inequality. Inequality, that is unequal. Okay, it is unequal. Okay, it is not equal. When we say equality, is a process. Is an act or quality of being equal, of something being equal. Why inequality is an act of being unequal. Okay, that is that. Now, when we now say this expression is not equal to this expression we have here, okay, I will now say, okay, that is inequality. We refer to it that inequality. Let's bring another example. Let's say we have 1 multiplied by 1. What do we see with this 1 multiplied by 1 and 1 plus 1? Is 1 multiplied by 1 equal to 1 plus 1? I'm asking you a question. Is 1 multiplied by 1 equal to 1 plus 1? No. Why? Because the product of 1 and 1 gives 1. But the sum of 1 and 1 gives 2. So, it is not equal to these two expressions are not equal. Okay? 1 by 1 gives us 1. 1 plus 1 gives us 2. Okay? So, 1 multiplied by 1 is not equal to 1 plus 1. Take note of that. Let me bring out another example where we have minus 1 multiplied by minus 1. Okay, this also is not equal to minus 1 minus 1. These two expressions are not equal. Why? Because the product of minus 1 and minus 1 will give us the positive 1, will give us value of 1. Okay? Why? The sum of this, that is minus 1 minus 1, gives minus 2. Okay? So it means that 1 is not equal to minus 2. 1 is not equal to minus 2. The expression we have here is not the same in value as the expression we have in the other side. That is the implication from this to this. Okay? The expression we have here is not the same in value to the expression we have on the other side. It is only this that the expressions, the both expressions on their respective sides that have equal value. That is why the sum of this gives 4, why the product of this gives 4. That is why we refer to this as equation. But all these are referred to as inequality. Okay? That is that. Now, minus 1 we have 1 plus 1. Is this statement correct? If I write statement like this, is it correct? Minus 1 minus 1 equals 1 plus 1. Is it correct from what I've said now? Minus 1 minus 1, the value of minus 1 minus 1, the value of this expression, this side, gives minus 2. Okay? So, the value of this expression gives 2. Now, is these two expressions or two values equal? No, they are not. This is minus 2, this is minus 2, this is 2. So, the two sides are not equal. Therefore, we have to slash to cross this equal sign. We have to cross it to show that it's not equal. Okay? So, minus 1 minus 1 is not equal to 1 plus 1. Alright? That is that. Now, where are we going? From all this explanation, what I want to deduce is that same concept, the idea of inequalities, how we apply them. Now, if we say this side is not equal to this, how? If something is not equal, if two things are not equal, there should be, that information is not enough. If you say two things are not equal, that information is not enough. We can proceed ahead to tell more about the two things. Which is, it is either one of the thing is bigger than the other one. That is what makes them unequal. Or one is lower than the other to make them unequal. Are you getting it now? Now, if we say this 1 multiplied by 1 is not equal to 1 plus 1, so what happens that makes them not to be equal is because this side is lower than this side. It's because of what? This side, the value or this expression is in value is lower than the value of this expression, which is 1 is lower than 2. That is why this statement is not equal. I hope you are with me. Likewise, this 4 plus 3 is not equal to 4 multiplied by 3. That is, the value of 4 plus 3 is not equal to the value of the product of 4 and 3. Why? Because 7 is lower in value than 12. Okay? Now, from here, we'll now be talking about how we can now rewrite all these things. If I want to rewrite them, I will say 2 is equal, that's the first one, okay, is equal to 2 multiplied by 2. This 4 plus 3, okay, 4 plus 3 is not equal to 4 multiplied by 3. Okay, let me write this. 1 multiplied by 1 is not equal to 1 plus 1 minus 1 multiplied by minus 1 is not equal to minus 1 minus 1. Minus 1 minus 1 is also not equal to 1 plus 1. So this is how we are going to write them in statements. Now don't forget that I've said something about the reason why one side is not equal to the other side. Starting from this, let me make it an asterisk. Okay, so we have known the reason why 4 plus 3 is not equal to 4 multiplied by 3. The reason why is that 4 plus 3 is lower in value than 4 times 3. So which can be written as 4 plus 3 is less than 4 multiplied by 3. Okay? Likewise this, why is 1 multiplied by 1 is not equal to 1 plus 1? The reason is that this value, 1 multiplied by 1, is less than 2. 1 multiplied by 1 is less than 1 plus 1. Let me come to this. Minus 1 multiplied by minus 1. Okay, which is this. Minus 1 multiplied by minus 1 is not equal to minus 1 minus 1. Why? It's because minus 1 times minus 1 will give us 1. Why? Minus 1 minus 1 will give us minus 2. And the value of 1 is greater than minus 2. So, minus 1 times minus 1 is greater than minus 1 minus 1. Okay? Now, the last, which is minus 1 minus 1. Minus 1 minus 1 is what? The reason why minus 1 minus 1 is not equal to 1 plus 1 is because minus 1 minus 1 is less than. Okay, is less than 2. Okay, this value is less than this value. Now, from what we have written here, mathematicians later thought of it that instead of writing this less than or greater than or not equal to in statement, why shouldn't we find symbols or a way of symbolizing this statement? That is where we now have, they now find a way to symbolize less than, greater than, equal to, not equal to, and so on and so forth. So now, to write this one, I will now have less than. This sign is referred to as less than. Less than. Why this is, it means greater, okay, greater than. And if I want to write all this, I will say 4 plus 3 is less than 4 multiplied by 3. Okay, now this will now be 1 multiplied by 1 is less than 1 plus 1. Minus 1 multiplied by minus 1 is greater than minus 1 minus 1. Why the last one would be minus 1 minus 1 is less than 2. Okay, so we now have this. So that is why whenever we see any expression in this form, anything like this, we remember, this is inequality. This is statements of inequalities, or these are statements of inequalities. These are things that are not equal. That is why when you see questions in form of this, you know that, you are already in inequalities. Give time to rub off this one side of the board so that we can continue with our work. Stay tuned.
Mathematics Doodle.
Yeah, welcome back to the class. For those of you that are joining us now, this is Mathematics Doodle program. Now, let's move with all the explanations I've said earlier. We are able to deduce the following symbols for inequalities. Symbols of inequalities. Don't forget that our today's lesson is for us to get the idea of inequalities. That is why we refer to it as concept of inequalities. Okay? The next class will now be going deeper. Less than the symbol for less than is, that is, for you to remember your left, either you do like this, your 2 fingers on the left to shows the symbol, or this arm. Okay, your left arm bring out an angle shape, or this bring out the symbol of less than. So what is this? Y greater greater than, it is either you use your right hand to give us an angle shape, it symbolizes greater than, or you use any of your fingers from the right, to give you this. So we refer to it as greater than. Why this is a symbol for less than. So we have another one as less than or equal to. Okay, this less than or equal to, the symbol for this is this. This is 2 statements. Less than, that is something is less than or is equal to. We have 2 symbols. We have less than is this. Okay, equal to is this. This is equal. This is a symbol for equal, right? Is equal. This is a symbol for it. And this first one is a symbol for less than. Okay, now combining the 2 together to make it in a better form, we remove one of this equal sign to give us this. So that is how we now generally accept these symbols to serve as less than or equal to. Okay, this is where it's being induced, it's being taken or gotten. Okay, less than or equal to. Why? Greater than or equal to can be symbolized as this. Okay, later in the next lesson, by special grace of God, I will be telling you how to use less than or equal to, or the meaning of less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. Okay, because they have their own special meaning, how we use them. Okay, so that is that. Less than, it is symbolized as this. Greater than is symbolized as this. Less than or equal to is symbolized as this. And greater than or equal to is symbolized as this. So let's go. Example. Let me say example 1. Write the following. Statement in their respective symbolic form. A. Mercy is older Deborah. Okay. B. The length of a whiteboard is longer than its breadth. Okay. Question letter C. We have the height of a preacher is always higher higher or greater. Let me use greater than the pupils. Okay. D. One plus one is greater than 1 multiplied by 1. So, let's read out the question under example 1. It says, write the following statements in their respective symbolic form. Okay, we are asked to write all these in symbolic form. A. Mercy is older than Deborah. B. The length of a whiteboard is longer than its breadth. B. The length of a whiteboard is longer than its breadth. You know, there are some whiteboards whose length is always longer than their breadth. So, C, we have the height of a preacher is always higher or greater than the pulpit. Okay, we can just cancel out this higher and say the height of a preacher is always greater than the pulpit. Okay, D, the sum of 1 and 1 is greater than the product of 1 and 1. So let us write them in their respective symbolic form. Okay. A. Mercy is older than Deborah. Will now be written, since we have known, will now be written as mercy. Okay. Older. When you say older, less than could mean lower than. Okay, so less than or lower than or shorter than, anything, okay, in that form, okay, will be symbolized with this. Why greater than, higher than, bigger than, taller than, okay, we make use of these symbols, okay, and so on and so forth. Now, mercy is older than means we'll be making use of this symbol, the symbol of greater than, okay. Mercy is greater than Deborah. All right. B. The length of a whiteboard is longer. The length, okay, or you can just say length. Okay, the length is greater than the breadth. That is that. C. The height of a preacher. Height of preacher. Okay, is what? Is higher. Higher. That is this symbol. Than what? Than the pulpit. That is that. D. The sum of these is greater than the product. 1 plus 1 is greater than 1 multiplied by 1. As quick as that. That is that. Okay? So, that is that. Mercy is greater than Deborah. The length is longer than the breadth. Mercy is older than Deborah. Height of preacher is taller or higher or greater than the pulpit. The value of 1 plus 1 is higher than the value for the product of 1 and 1. That is that. Example 2. We have write the following in ordinary statements. Okay. A. We have x is greater than 3. We have B. We have 2 plus 2 is greater than 5. C. We have x minus 5 is greater than 2. D. We have 7 minus y greater than 3. Okay. And E. 2a minus 6 is greater than a plus 1. Okay, so this is what we are asked to write in ordinary statement form. Okay, all this. A, we have x is greater than 3. B, 2 plus 2 is greater than 5. C, x minus 5 is greater than 2. D, 7 minus y is greater than 3. E, 2a minus 6 is greater than a plus 1. We want to rewrite them in this form, in ordinary statement form. Okay, that is, you want to write them in a form where these symbols of inequalities will not be involved, will not be there. All right, so that is that. So let's go on with the solution to this. Solution A. X is greater than 3. This is x. This x is a variable. It's a letter that stands for a certain value that we don't know. Okay, so how do you now write this statement? You will say a certain number is greater than 3. That is that. A certain number is this letter. Okay, because this letter is a letter that represents a certain value that is unknown. So, and that unknown value is greater than 3. Now, B. Question B. 2 plus 2 is greater than 5. Oh no. This question is wrong. Let's make it an asterisk. Okay. I've written a wrong question here. 2 plus 2 cannot be greater than 5. Okay. So, now let's change the question to a correct one. Okay. So, let's change either of these to a value that will make this side to be greater than this side. Okay, let's change it to, okay, let's change. So the sum of a and 2 is greater than 5. 8 plus 2 is greater than 5. I'm sorry for writing the wrong question initially, okay? Yeah, so let's make use of that. Now, this will now be the sum of 8 and 2 is greater than 5. Or you can say, you can write it as when two is added to 8, comma, the result, okay, is greater than 5. Okay, these two statements is correct. Okay, the sum of 8 and 2 is greater than 5, or when 2 is added to 8, the result is greater than 5. That's it. So these two statements represent this question letter B. 8 plus 2 is greater than 5. All right, that is that. So let's move to the next. We have question C. X minus 5 is greater than 2. How do we write it in an ordinary statement form? X minus 5 is greater than 2. This X is a letter which represents a certain number that is unknown. So we now say a certain number minus 5 is greater than 2. Okay, or you can write it as when 5 is subtracted, from a certain number, the result is greater than or higher than, okay, than 2. That is that. Let's move to D. We have 7 minus y is greater than 3. You can write that as well in any of this form. Okay, you are good to go. So that will now be 7 minus a certain number is greater than is greater than 3. 7 minus a certain number is greater than 3. 7 minus a certain number is greater than 3. Or you could say When a certain number is subtracted from 7, the result is greater than 3. You could write it like that if you don't want to write it in this form. Okay, that is why it is good for us to understand mathematics so that you can be able to express it in any form you like. So, question letter E. We have 2a minus 6 is greater than a plus 1. How do you want to rewrite that in an ordinary statement? It's very simple. Just look at it. This side we have 2a minus 6. 2a minus 6 can be written. Okay, what's this 2a? How do we write it? 2a in statement. 2a. 2a. I hope you can see the whiteboard. 2a. 2a means 2 multiplied by a, or twice of a. Okay, so now we say a twice a certain number minus 6. Is greater than the number plus 1. A is a certain number, okay? So twice the certain number minus 6 is greater than the number plus 1, okay? It's greater than the number that is the certain number, the number that is unknown, that we don't know its value, plus 1. So that is it. I hope you understand how we have rewritten the given inequality with their symbols into ordinary statements and vice versa. Okay, now let's move to the next example. This is just example 2. Example 3.